It's a great day here in Orem, Utah. This is Michael Leavitt, your Master Inspector, bringing you yet another great video for waterheaterexplosions.com. This time spotlighting a year in 1995 water heater explosion that happened in my old stomping grounds in Walnut, California. At 4:43 in the morning, sure enough, the water heater on the basement level of a two-story condo that was in a three-unit, side by side, middle unit, it exploded, went through the back wall of the condominium, and the water heater was found 60 feet away in an alley nearby. Now, Ron Franzer, the building inspector, said the heater either did not have a pressure release valve, or if it had one, the device had been tampered with, leaving no outlet for excessive pressure. I find that very odd because you either know if it's there or it's not, or probably more accurately, it exploded and went into its own orbit, and the water heater was found separately from wherever the TPR valve, temperature pressure release valve, actually landed. Now, this valve is designed to bleed off the pressure if there's a malfunction in the water heater, causing excessive overheating, which would make the thing explode. Well, the TPR valve, it bleeds off the pressure, and sure enough, that's where water comes out of the pipe next to the water heater, and you see it down on the floor, and that can be a sign of a unit malfunction. But in this case, they still have yet to determine what the cause was. Now, the injuries of this is very interesting. 8 people were injured, but the worst was a 15-year-old boy. Now, this 15-year-old boy, he was in the upstairs, and he ended up with broken ribs, a ruptured spleen, and head wounds. Now, Rudy Aquino, who's the owner of the unit and the father of the boy, said, "My son went to sleep on the second floor and woke up on the first floor. I had to dig him out of the rubble, and all the time I could hear him crying out for help." It was horrible. You know, the sheriff that was there, Ron Wilton, he said it's strictly a miracle that nobody died in here today. You think about that. Somebody died. Why? 23-year-old condo, water heater, it explodes. Very interesting. Now, the federal authorities, they got involved. There was another article that came out about 6 days later in the LA Times, and it said that the federal authorities were requesting help from the City of Walnut building officials to determine if building permits were pulled, if it was a recent water heater, if there was a TPR valve even installed. Now, there's a state law in California. It says under state law, building owners must apply for city permits whenever they install a new water heater. A city inspection is required after the installation. That's laughable. You know, the reality is, you know, if a plumber installs a water heater, yes, he pulls a permit because it's the right thing to do and it's the law. And he can risk losing his license if he doesn't. But a homeowner, which most people trade out their own water heaters or get a handyman friend to help them out, they head down to the home center, the hardware store, wherever they're for sale, and they buy whatever the cheapest water heater is, and they bring it home and they throw it in. And in 1995, you have to understand, the water heater was sold separately from the TPR valve, which meant that you bought your water heater, you spent a couple $100, probably back then it was $300 or less, bring it home, go to install it, and realize, oh, we need to fill that stupid hole in the side or the top of the unit, and just grab the valve off of the old water heater. Screw it in, a valve's a valve, what difference does it make, and you move on down the road, right? Well, a little bit of a dilemma there. The TPR valve, temperature pressure release valve, if you go to the manufacturer, Watts being one of the biggest, they recommend that thing be replaced every 3 years. Now, I don't know anybody who replaces it on that regular of a schedule, but to reuse the old one, when it sits inside the water heater, it corrodes, and the moment it corrodes, it malfunctions, meaning it won't bleed off the pressure when it's needed. Now this should put an alarming shock through anybody who is listening to this today, that they should go to their water heater and test the TPR valve. Now, many people don't like to do this because sometimes they'll still drip or they'll leak after you test it. Wow. Well, replace the thing. It means it's corroded. There's sediment in there. And you should be checking this thing every 6 months or a year. Go down, see if the thing works. Why? When it doesn't, water heaters can overheat and explode causing major damage. The reality nowadays is that most water heaters are shipped with new TPR valves installed. The legal beagles came to their common senses and recommended to the water heater manufacturers, hey, listen, people are buying these things, installing them without the TPR valve or reusing the old ones, and it's just way too much liability. So just raise the price $10, and it'll reduce lawsuits coming back. Just take care of it. Do it for the consumer who doesn't seem to be able to protect themselves. So it is a bonus. So nowadays, as a home inspector, we find the TPR valves installed with the unit. Why? Because it came with the unit. Nowadays, the screw-ups that we see is the discharge pipe that comes out of it. The homeowner messes that up because it either doesn't fit, wrong size. So those are the types of headaches we find today, and those can be corrected as well, and I'll cover that in other videos. So why was this so impactful upon me? Well, I was a recent home inspector, only been inspecting about 6 months when this story happened, and I had returned from Utah down to Southern California to visit family and friends. So I got to watch this thing on the news and realized it was right across the street from the college that I went to, Mount San Antonio College. And here it was, a water heater exploded, causing the injuries, displacing 3 families, making them homeless in the process with no place to go, all over a TPR valve. It was confirmed in my heart my purpose in the real estate transaction, which is to help bring awareness, bring people to the light, bring people to the truth, help them identify what can be corrected in their homes to make them safer. So what do I want you to do today? I want you to check your TPR valve. I want you to make sure the thing's working so that when, if that water heater ever overheats, that you will be protected. The pressure will be bled off. Your home will be spared. Your kids will not be injured. And ultimately, we can save some lives in the process. So remember, this is Michael Leavitt, your master inspector, and I'll be out there looking for things that will help prevent injuries, protect structures, and ultimately save lives. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.